You were not raised to win, you were raised to be manageable. Think about that. Every system you grew up inside, school, family, religion, social media, was designed with one quiet, unspoken priority: to produce someone predictable, someone who follows the script, someone who doesn't ask why the script exists in the first place. They gave you report cards instead of real feedback. They gave you gold stars instead of truth. They gave you the word potential like a leash around your neck, always just ahead of you, always just out of reach. So you'd keep walking forward without ever stopping to ask who's holding the other end. And here you are, still walking. This video is not motivation. Motivation is a drug they sell to people who are afraid of surgery. What I'm about to give you is the blade. The first law: comfort is a cage with invisible bars. Most people spend their entire lives optimizing their prison. They rearrange the furniture, they upgrade the television, they choose a better mattress, and they call this progress. Comfort is not neutral. It is not a reward. Comfort is a biological sedative, a chemical signal your nervous system releases to tell you, stop moving, you are safe here. And that signal, in the ancient world, made sense. Rest after the hunt. Sleep after the battle. But you are not hunting, you are not battling, you are sitting. And the signal fires anyway, every hour, every day, until the desire to move, to build, to conquer, atrophies, like a muscle that has not been used in years. The powerful understand something the comfortable will never admit. The feeling of safety and the reality of growth cannot occupy the same moment. You cannot expand and stay still at the same time. Every time you have chosen comfort over action, you did not save energy. You spent it on remaining the same. That is not rest. That is slow erosion. The move is this: stop measuring your life by how good it feels. Start measuring it by how much it is changing you. Discomfort is not the enemy of the good life. It is the admission price. The second law: your identity is a political document. You think your personality is yours. You think the way you speak, the things you believe, the limits you accept. You think these emerged from you, from your authentic self, from your soul. They didn't. Your identity was negotiated between the people who raised you, the culture that surrounded you, the peer groups that accepted or rejected you, the failures that humiliated you into retreat. You adapted. You selected traits that produced approval and buried the ones that produced pain. You became a political document, written not by you, but for you, by every force in your environment that had a stake in keeping you cooperative. This is not a criticism. This is how human development works. But here is the dangerous part. Most people never realize the document was written for someone else's benefit. They defend it. They call it authenticity. They build a life around protecting a version of themselves they never consciously chose. The powerful know that identity is not a monument. It is a weapon. And a weapon must be forged deliberately. Look at yourself honestly, not with compassion, not with excuses, and ask, which parts of who I am were chosen by me, and which parts were installed by others? The answer will be uncomfortable. Good. Discomfort, as we established, is the admission price. The third law: most people fight the wrong enemy. Here is a truth they will not teach you. Your real opponent is not the person ahead of you. It is not your competition. It is not the economy, your upbringing, the market, or your circumstances. Your real opponent is the story you tell yourself about why you cannot move. Every time a man fails, truly fails, not at a task but at his life, you will find, buried underneath the excuses, a narrative. A story constructed with great care and internal consistency that explains in meticulous detail why the outcome was inevitable, why the cards were stacked, why someone else is responsible, why the timing was wrong. Machiavelli watched princes rise and fall across centuries of Italian political warfare and noticed something that disturbed him. Most men are defeated not by their enemies, but by their own inability to see reality as it is. They see it as they wish it to be, or as they fear it to be, almost never as it is. Reality does not care about your story. Reality is not waiting for your situation to improve before it starts keeping score. The man who waits for perfect conditions has already lost. The powerful do not wait for the storm to pass. They learn to move inside the storm. Ask yourself, what narrative are you using as a reason to stay where you are? Name it. Look at it directly, because the moment you can see the story, you are no longer inside it. The fourth law, weakness performed as virtue. This one will cut you. There is a particular kind of weakness that has learned to disguise itself as moral superiority. You have seen it. You may be living it. It sounds like, I don't care about money. I'm not competitive. I don't play games. I'm just being real. It sounds humble. It sounds evolved. It sounds like the statement of someone who has moved beyond base desires. It isn't. In most cases, it is the psychology of someone who tried, failed, felt the shame of losing, and then constructed a value system where playing the game is the character flaw. They did not transcend ambition. They buried it, dressed the grave in philosophy, and now walk past it every day pretending it isn't there. Powerlessness marketed as virtue is still powerlessness, and it is more dangerous than ordinary weakness because it has made peace with itself. It is not looking for a way out. It has convinced itself it is already out. The powerful do not confuse disengagement with elevation. They know the difference between a man who chooses simplicity from a position of strength and a man who chooses it because strength feels too far away to attempt. One is a decision. One is a surrender with better branding. Which one are you? The fifth law. The mask is not the lie you think it is. They told you to be yourself, to be authentic, to show people the real you. They were half right. The real you, the unfiltered, unstrategic, emotionally reactive version, is not always the version that survives. Authenticity without awareness is not courage. It is self-indulgence. It is the luxury of someone who has decided that their emotional comfort matters more than their outcome. Every powerful person in history wore masks, not because they were frauds, but because they understood something fundamental about the nature of social reality. People do not respond to what you are. They respond to what they perceive you to be. And perception is a craft. This does not mean become someone you are not. It means become the architect of how you are seen, rather than leaving that architecture to chance and other people's projections. Control your frame, manage your presence, decide what you reveal and when, not to manipulate, but to operate. A surgeon does not perform operations with trembling hands because he is being authentic about his nerves. He controls the presentation of himself so that the environment can function, so the work can be done. You are always performing. The only question is whether you are doing it deliberately. The sixth law, time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. Every other asset can be rebuilt. Money lost can be earned again. Reputation damaged can be repaired. Relationships broken can be mended or replaced. But the hour you spend doing nothing of consequence is gone, with a finality that should disturb you more than it does. Most men live as though they have a surplus of time, as though it is the one resource their decisions don't touch. They delay, they defer, they say soon with the confidence of someone who believes the future is guaranteed. It is not. It never has been. The powerful operate from a different calendar, not one marked by years, but by what each year produced. They do not ask, how old am I? They ask, what have I built, and is it enough? That question, asked honestly, is either terrifying or clarifying. Either way, it moves you. Your relationship with time is a direct measurement of how seriously you take your own life. Protect it like what it is, the only currency that cannot be borrowed, printed, or stolen back. The seventh law, power does not announce itself. The loudest person in the room is almost never the most dangerous one. Real power is quiet. It does not need your validation. It does not need you to acknowledge it. It moves beneath the surface of conversations, in the silences between words, in the options other people don't know you have. The man who tells you how powerful he is has already revealed his weakness. He needs you to believe it. Power that requires your belief is not power, it is performance. And performance is exhausting. It is the treadmill of ego, always running, never arriving. The truly powerful person in any room is often the calmest, not because nothing is at stake, because they have already decided what they will do regardless of outcome. They have developed what can only be called internal sovereignty, a stability that does not depend on external conditions, other people's approval, or the chaos of circumstance. Build the interior before you demand the exterior. The death of the old self. We are near the end now. And this is the part that separates the people who consume this content from the people who are changed by it. At some point in this video, you recognized yourself in the man who mistakes comfort for progress, in the one who hides defeat behind philosophy, in the one still waiting for the right conditions. You felt it, that cold recognition of your own reflection. That recognition is not shame. Do not waste it on shame. It is intelligence. It is your mind seeing clearly, perhaps for the first time, without the usual filters. And now you have a choice that most people refuse to make. You can leave this version of yourself behind, not dramatically, not in a single moment of cinematic revelation, but in the 1,000 small decisions that follow this one. The moment you choose the harder path when the easier one is right there. The moment you speak when you would have stayed silent. The moment you build when you would have scrolled. The moment you stop narrating your limitations and start dismantling them. The old version of you served a purpose. It kept you safe. It kept you accepted. It kept you here. But here is not where you need to be. And the old version of you does not know how to go further. It was not built for where you are going. It must be released, not with cruelty, with clarity. The conclusion: life does not reward the deserving. It rewards the prepared. It rewards the strategic. It rewards those who saw reality clearly enough to move inside it without flinching. Machiavelli's real lesson was never about manipulation. It was about this. The world operates by laws that most people refuse to look at directly. And by refusing to look, they hand their power to anyone willing to see clearly. You have now seen some of what they refuse to look at. The question is what you do next. Most people who watch this will feel something, close the tab, and return to the same patterns by morning. That is not a criticism. That is the statistical reality of human behavior. Change is expensive. Most people are unwilling to pay the price. But if something in this video lodged itself somewhere beneath the noise, if some part of you recognized a truth you have been circling without wanting to land on it, then you are not most people. Not yet. Not fully. But potentially. Subscribe if you want to go further. Not because I need your subscription. Because the work we continue here is not for everyone. It is for the ones who decided, somewhere between the beginning and the end of this video, that the comfortable version of their life is no longer acceptable. The door is open. Most will walk past it. Step through.